In one of the previous videos, I shared how one's unhealthy relationship with either the masculine energy or the feminine energy, or we could say different aspects of oneself, become reflected in one's life in their relationships. They're experienced as unhealthy relationships. I gave a few examples, and one of the examples we can sort of zoom in on is the example of boundaries. Boundaries are often problematic for people. A lot of people have an unhealthy relationship with the masculine energy, and that masculine energy is really the energy that expresses boundaries. Boundaries are an expression of that energy as a form of protection, containment, and when one has an unhealthy relationship with boundaries, they often experience boundaries as punishment, dominance, suppression, control, these sort of things. And this is when one has an unhealthy relationship with that masculine energy. Obviously, when one has an unhealthy relationship with that energy, it also gets expressed as that distortion. So one could be controlling, suppressing, dominating. What was the other word that I used? Punishing. And that's not the true masculine energy. The healthy masculine energy is trying to find my way out of here. The healthy masculine energy sets those boundaries from clarity. They protect the space. They contain. The essence, a frequency, an energy. By upholding those boundaries. Let me give you a grounded example in everyday life. Protecting the peace in your family's home. The boundary of really drawing the line, making it clear that this yelling and screaming, this emotional chaos that perhaps your wife, your husband, your daughter, your son bring into the home, or wake up and find themselves in and as that chaos. When they wake up like that, and start the day in that state of chaos, bringing that energy into the kitchen, to the table. That morning rhythm, that peacefulness is disrupted. That chaotic energy takes over. It's like a storm. It's not permanent. But also to simply accept that distortion, not stand up for truth, as truth, to not set those boundaries, to simply get walked all over. And sit on the sidelines is also a distortion of that same masculine energy. But to be grounded, to be clear, to set that boundary and hold that boundary strongly, to set the standards that in this house, in this shared space, these are the standards. And if you can't rise to those standards, if you can't meet those standards, then you need to leave the space until you can. This teaches your son, your daughter, your wife, your husband emotional maturity, emotional responsibility. They learn how to regulate their emotions, not to bring those emotions to the dinner table and just simply dump their emotional garbage in the kitchen. It teaches them that shared space must be respected and honored. And that type of energy, the kicking, the screaming, the yelling, the bitching, the complaining, that type of reactivity, that emotional turmoil, that emotional chaos is not tolerated in this space. You protect the sacredness of the shared space by drawing the line, setting the boundary. And when one hasn't integrated these boundaries in one's life, then what's happening is by integrating these boundaries, you're restoring natural order to your home, restructuring it, being the structure, being the order. That contains that chaos. And ultimately dissolves it. The boundaries protect the sacredness of the space. The containment is not about control. The containment offers safety. It's for the well-being of everyone. Asking someone to leave the space because they don't meet the standards, because they enter the space with that chaotic energy that disrupts the peace for everyone, that creates that turmoil, ruins the rhythm of the morning or the evening, that container is what the other family members experience as safety. They experience the safety of that container. It's not about control. It's about the well-being of everyone. So all the family members can feel that peaceful rhythm, that harmonious rhythm. And setting these boundaries teach your family members emotional regulation, emotional responsibility, ultimately emotional maturity. That you can't just simply come in and dump your garbage on the table that we eat. And if your energy is too chaotic, then simply leave the space, allow it to settle, and then you're welcome back. And this is critical, especially when it happens in the morning, because that sort of chaos, turmoil that starts within minutes of your son or your daughter waking up, it sort of sets the tone, it disrupts the natural rhythm. And the other family members sort of learn what behavior is being accepted. And because you tolerate that behavior in your space, it's seen as it's accepted. That becomes the norm. So other family members learn it. And it continues. Often it escalates. What was accepted in the morning becomes the starting point, and then it escalates from there. Siblings learn, well, if my older sister is kicking and screaming and shouting and whining and moaning and complaining and all this, then that seems to be what I need to do. Well, if mom is yelling and in this reactive state, raising her voice, screaming, thinking that the louder she is, the more she's right, or the louder she is, the more she's heard, then this is the conditioning that's passed down to the kids and it's learned. But the masculine energy, the healthy masculine energy, sets the tone for the day. That stability, that safety that comes with the structure, the order, the containment, and the boundaries and the consequences is what restructures the home, restores natural order. Children learn how to emotionally regulate. Husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends learn to take emotional responsibility. And the home starts transforming. It's not so chaotic. It's more peaceful. A natural rhythm is restored. So if you have had an unhealthy relationship with boundaries, if you have always seen it as being about control or punishment or suppression, then perhaps it's because you've had an unhealthy relationship with yourself, particularly this masculine energy within you. So it's an invitation to integrate that masculine energy. And you'll see that the more you integrate that masculine energy, the less you view it in distortion. You won't experience it as punishment or control or dominance. You're not rejecting it in yourself anymore. You're not avoiding it. You're not suppressing it. You're not denying it. And like this, you become in right relationship to it by integrating it. And that integration happens through setting those boundaries in everyday life. And they start to become natural. And when it becomes natural, it's embodied. You restore the natural order, the harmony, the peace, the safety, the stability, the security. Your home no longer feels like a war zone. You no longer call that chaos normal. It's only viewed as normal because you don't know any difference. You don't have the contrast. But once you start integrating those boundaries and you start restoring natural order in the home, you start seeing how you shift the entire energy of your family. And it's really a reflection of what's happening within you. Because you have shifted that energy within yourself, your family starts mirroring that shift. What you no longer tolerate within yourself, you no longer tolerate in your family. That natural rhythm that you experience within becomes reflected without. So if you're ready to integrate the masculine energy that I'm expressing, then I invite you to join me in truth.